Hello everyone, today I have the comic strip Desperate Dan for you. So, let's continue. Desperate Dan is the title of our comic strip, and Desperate Dan is a character. We cannot see him here. Okay, he is going to be introduced in another part of the story. Now you can see that Desperate Dan is a story that is set in the Wild West. So it happens in the Wild West. Set means to happen when we talk about a story, a film or a book. It's set in the Wild West, so it happens in the Wild West. And the Wild West is that part of America where they have, or where they had, cowboys. Cowboys, so they have guns, they carry guns. They usually have a lasso, that's a rope with a circle on the end, a lasso to catch horses and to catch cows. Okay, they have a lasso, and they usually wear a cowboy hat. And you can see this man is wearing a very typical cowboy outfit, what cowboys usually wear. So it's in America, so I will try to do some American accents for you. So first of all, this says Paul Clanton, cowboy con artist. So his name is Paul Clanton. Paul is his first name, Clanton is his second name. He is a cowboy and he's a con artist. Con artist is someone who tricks other people. You trick people, so you con them. To con someone is to trick them. So if I sell someone something, okay, I say, here, this phone, you can have this phone for £200. It's in very good condition. It's working. You can have it for £200. And if that person gives me the money and I give them the phone and I run away and they use the phone and they say, it's not working. This phone is not working. He lied. He sold me a phone for £200 and it's not working. Then I conned them. Okay, so I tricked them. Or I conned them. So this guy is a con artist. So he cons people, he tricks people, and he's also a cowboy. And he says to his friends, what do you think of my new horse, boys? What do you think of my new horse, boys? So here you can see a horse costume. It's not a real horse, it's a costume of a horse. Let me just move the microphone a little closer. Yeah, it's a costume of a horse. And here are his two friends. And they say, it's a bit skinny, Pa. It's a bit skinny. So this horse, you can see that it's very skinny. It's not a fat horse, it's a skinny horse. And this one, he says, why? So why do you have this horse costume? And poor Clanton says, it's a costume, dunderhead. You two are going to wear it and become the best horse in Texas. So here he tells these two that it is not a real horse, it's a costume. Because this guy said, it's a bit skinny, Pa. Well, he says, well, it's not a real horse, that's why it's skinny, it's a costume, dunderhead. And a dunderhead is a way to call someone stupid. You are a dunderhead. It's a funny expression. I never say that. And if you say that to people, maybe they will smile a little bit because it's a funny old word to call someone stupid. Dunderhead. And you can see these men, they do look a bit stupid. This one goes, huh? And this one, huh? So they're pulling very stupid expressions. Huh? And Paul says, I'm going to trick Dan into buying you. Later, when he goes to bed, you'll take the costume off and come home and we'll keep the dosh. So he's going to trick Dan, and this is our main character, Desperate Dan. He's going to trick Dan into buying the horse. So Dan is going to buy the horse because Dan will think that it's a real horse, and Dan will think there's a really good horse too. The best horse in Texas. And just remember, Texas is a part of America. There are many states in America, and Texas is a state in the south of America, in the south of the United States of America. And he says, later when he goes to bed, you'll take the costume off. So when Dan goes to bed, you can take off the costume, come home, and keep the dosh. Keep the dosh. So the dosh here is the money. It's a way to say money. So you're going to steal money off Dan, or yeah, exactly. I think they're basically going to take off the costume, and then they're going to take Dan's money, and then they're going to run away while Dan is sleeping. And he says, "Woohoo!" So I think he likes the idea. Later on, "Howdy, Dan. This is Gary the Wonder Horse, the best horse in Texas." "Howdy, Dan. This is Gary the Wonder Horse, the best horse in Texas." So here is the horse, not a real horse, with the two men inside it. And Dan is looking at them a little bit suspicious. A little bit suspicious, I think. And this horse, looks really angry. So I think that this horse and Dan do not trust this man. He's not a man to be trusted. "Do you call him Wonder Horse because people wonder if he is a horse?" So there's a little joke here. So something that is wonderful is amazing. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, amazing. Fantastic. So when this man, I've forgotten his name, when Paul calls him a wonder horse or the wonder horse, he means it's an amazing horse, fantastic horse, the wonder horse. But to wonder also means to think about something. I wonder. So for example, I wonder who will be the next president of the United States in 2 years. In 2 years, will it be Joe Biden or will it be someone else? I wonder. So when we wonder about something, we think about something that we don't know the answer to, and we just think about it. We imagine. So Dan says, "Is it called the Wonder Horse because people are wondering, is it a horse?" Because it doesn't really look like a real horse. It looks like two people wearing a costume. I would not believe that it is a real horse. And Paul says, "No, because it's because he's handsome, clever, and fast." No, because he's handsome, clever, and fast. So he is called the Wonder Horse because he's handsome, beautiful. He's clever. He's got a good brain, and he's really fast. So therefore, he's called the Wonder Horse, the amazing horse. And Dan says, "Well, I can see..." No, sorry, that wasn't his voice. "Well, I can see he's not handsome. I'll see if he's clever." So I can see he's not handsome, so I can look at this horse and I can see it is not a handsome horse. It's an ugly horse. It's ugly. It's not beautiful. It's not handsome. It's ugly. It's ugly. I'll see if he's clever. So I'm going to check if he's intelligent. And Dan pats the horse. Pat, pat. Pats the horse. Excuse me. And Dan says, Gary, with your left front leg, stamp to show me what 1 + 1 is. So he's asking the horse to count 1 + 1. 1 + 1, which is obviously 2. So he's asking the horse to show him the answer to 1 + 1. And if the horse knows the answer, it has to stamp its foot. Stamp your foot just means to hit your foot on the ground. So if I do this, then I'm stamping my foot. But he asked it to only stamp its left front leg. This could be a problem, because if there are 2 men in there, then there are 2 men with left front legs. So the men might get confused. So I think Dan knows it's not a real horse and that there are 2 men in there. And Paul thinks to himself, oh no, this isn't part of the plan. So, oh no, this is not part of the plan. This is not, we hadn't thought about this. This could go wrong. Let's see what happens. And here the men are whispering. They're whispering to each other. Which one of us is in front? I don't know, but the answer is either nothing or 11. So they're both talking and deciding who is at the front of the horse. Who's at the front and who's at the back? We don't remember. And the other one says, I don't know, but the answer is either nothing, it's either 0, or it's 11. Now we know 1 + 1 is not 11 and it's not 0. The answer is 2. So we can see that these men are not very clever. So what do? Paul says, come on, Gary, you're usually as smart as 2 men. And he's thinking to himself, my idiot sons don't even have enough brains to be a clever horse. And Dan says to himself, 1 + 1 is... So Paul is saying that his sons are so stupid that they can't even be a clever horse. Even a clever horse is more intelligent than them. And in the next part, Gary the horse says 11. And Desperate Dan says, I don't know what's more shocking, his maths or that he can talk. And the other guy, yes, I forgot to mention that. That's how clever he is. He just hates math. He just hates maths. So Gary here, the horse, speaks. So I think everyone knows now that it's not a horse and it's 2 men. And Dan says, I don't know what's worse. I don't know what's more shocking. Shocking is surprising. Is it more shocking that the horse can talk, or that the horse does not know 1 + 1? And Paul says, oh yeah, I forgot to say that this horse actually can talk. I forgot to say that. It's an important information, but I forgot to say that. But he hates math. He hates maths. Now you'll notice here that it says maths, which is actually the British way of saying it. But the American way is math with no S. They don't put an S, so they say math, I like math, I do math, I study math. But in the UK, we say I like maths, I do maths, I study maths. So even though this is an American setting, it's actually written by British people, so therefore it says maths. But technically it should be math if it's American. So what's going to happen? Paul says, I'm prepared to let you have Gary in return for your horse and a few bucks. And a buck here means $1. A buck is $1. So a few dollars, a few bucks. So he's happy to exchange Gary the horse for Desperate Dan's horse. So Desperate Dan would give Paul his horse, and Paul will give Desperate Dan Gary the horse. And Desperate Dan needs to give a few dollars to Paul. And Desperate Dan says, Hoss is my friend, you don't part exchange friends. Hoss is my friend, you don't part exchange friends. So Hoss is the name of his horse. His horse is named Hoss, Hoss the horse. And he's his friend, and he says, you don't part exchange friends. Now, if you part exchange something, it's like, let's take something. Okay, I have a little gingerbread person here. So I want a gingerbread person, and someone wants my phone. Someone wants my phone, and they say, I will give you a gingerbread man for your phone. And I say, what? Well, it's actually a gingerbread girl. A gingerbread girl for my phone? No way. I'm not exchanging my phone for a gingerbread girl. And then the other person says, okay, I will give you £10 and the gingerbread girl for your phone. And I say, okay. Then they're part exchanging it. So they're giving me something, and they're giving me some money as well. So this is only part of the exchange. It's not the whole thing. Okay, so that's what a part exchange is. So here, he will not give his horse and a few dollars for the other horse. Okay. And then Hoss, the horse, thinks to himself, Shucks, I never knew he cared. Shucks is what you say if someone flatters you. So if someone says something really, really nice to you, you can say, oh, shucks. It's not something that people say very often, but it is the kind of thing that you will see in like a comic book or maybe a cartoon. I also think it might be American, but I'm not confident. Shucks. It's just a funny way to express that you feel flattered. Someone has said something to you really nice. You feel flattered. Oh, shucks. Thank you. So if someone says to you, wow, you look incredible today, you say, shucks, that's so nice of you. But as I say, it's not something we really say very often. If we said it, it's a bit amusing. It's a bit funny, shucks. So Hoss is very flattered because Dan says something so nice about him, and he thinks to himself, shucks, I never knew he cared. And here is Paul, and Paul says, how dare you? Take him for a test ride if you don't believe me. So, how dare you? How dare you is what you can say if someone makes you really angry, if someone says something to you that offends you. So, if someone says to me, you're stupid, I say, how dare you? Or, because I'm a teacher, if one of my students stands up in the lesson and shouts and leaves the classroom, I can say, how dare you? Come back and sit down. So if someone offends you, you can say, how dare you. So he wants Dan to take the horse for a test ride. So that's before you buy something, you can take it for a test ride, usually a car. You don't buy the car first. First, you drive the car, you take it for a test ride, and if you like the car, then maybe you buy it. Dan says, "Not that you know anything about having friends, you swindling varmint. That's not a real horse." So here he says, you don't know anything about having friends, because Desperate Dan has been talking about Hoss being his friend, and he would never part exchange a friend. And he says to this guy, Paul, you don't know anything about having friends. You don't know anything about having friends. And he calls him, ya swindling varmint. Swindling again is like a con artist, someone who swindles you, tricks you. They trick you, so they're not being honest. Varmint, I have no idea, but I'm going to look it up. Varmint. Okay, so a varmint is a child that's very naughty, a naughty child, or an animal that causes a lot of problems. I've never heard this word before though, but that's what it means. So here he's saying, Desperate Dan is saying to Paul that he is someone who cheats, someone who tricks people, and he's very troublesome. He causes problems. So he's a swindling varmint. And you can see ya, which means you swindling varmint. You are a swindling varmint. You swindling varmint. That's not a real horse. So Dan knows. Okay, I don't mind if I do. I'll see if he's fast. Okay, so here, obviously, Paul made the offer that Desperate Dan can take the horse for a test ride. He can try the horse. And so Dan says, I don't mind if I do. So don't mind if I do is like, okay, I will do that. I don't mind if I do. Like it's okay to me. That's great to me. That's a good thing to me. I don't mind if I do. I don't mind if I do that. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll ride the horse. I'll see if he is fast. And here you can see Paul with almost smoke coming out of his nose and sweat coming off of his head. I think that Dan is going to be a bit big and heavy for the two men inside the horse costume, but let's see. Now I'm going to stop very quickly for a quick advert, just for 10 seconds. Okay, so you can support me if you would like by simply liking this video, sharing it and subscribing. But another way you can support me is by subscribing to my Patreon for £2 a month, and every single month you have a chance of winning a free lesson with me. At the moment, I don't have many subscribers, so if you subscribe, you will have a very good chance of winning a free lesson. So for £2 a month, that's not a bad deal. You will also be supporting my channel and helping me to create more videos and spend more time making videos, because obviously I work, I teach, I have various jobs, and I would like to spend more time just making videos for you and everyone else who watches, so you can improve your English. So with that money, it helps me to do that. Okay, so let's get back to the video. Thud, thud, thud. So he lands on the back of the horse. My poor back. Youch. So one of them says, oh, my poor back. My back, my poor back. And the other one says, youch. Youch is like another way to say ouch. Ouch is a sound that we make when something hurts us. If someone hits my hand, ouch, then it's something that we say. Youch is the same thing. It's a little bit more comical, a little bit more funny. Youch. It's a little more exaggerated. Youch. But quite often people do say ouch, or simply ow. Ow, 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 ow. And Paul says he doesn't want a part exchange, but what's to stop me just taking his horse? So he's saying he doesn't want to give this horse and some money for this horse, but what's to stop me just taking his horse? What's to stop me just taking his horse? Sorry. There's nothing that's going to stop me from taking his horse right now. So let's steal it. Let's take it. And the horse thinks to himself, me! So the horse is going to stop him taking him. Boot! And the horse boots Paul in the face. He boots him in the eye, and Paul goes flying into the rocks here. Later, I think it's time I got you boys home. Are you sure you don't want to keep us, Dan? I like being half of your horse. Me too. So here you can see the men's heads have come out of the costume, and Dan is now carrying the horse, and they seem to want to be Dan's horse. I think maybe they quite like Dan because their father, Paul, is not very nice. So, no thanks, boys. You do make a mighty fine. Sorry, excuse me. No thanks, boys. You do make a mighty fine, stupid, ugly talking horse, though. Thanks, Dan. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to us. So Dan says no, he does not want to have them as a horse, but they make a mighty fine, which means a very nice. They make a very nice, stupid, ugly talking horse. So there's a little compliment in there. Even if he doesn't want them as a horse, he thinks that they make a great, ugly, stupid talking horse, though. And this man says it's the nicest thing that anyone has ever said to them. On the last frame of the comic strip, we can see a snake, probably a rattlesnake. I don't know if that's a very good impression of a rattlesnake. A rattlesnake. And here there is a sign with an arrow going through it. And the sign says, "To the Clanton's shack." So the Clantons here means the name of a person. And as we saw, as we saw, this is Paul Clanton, and he is the father of these two men, so they are also Clantons. That's their surname. So the Clanton's shack is the house that they live in. And a shack is like a really, it's like a little building, which is not very nice, not in good condition, and it's usually made of wood. It's usually a wooden building. So if you said someone lived in a shack, then it wouldn't be a compliment. A shack would be a very basic kind of house or a very basic kind of building. And Desperate Dan says to the men, "That doesn't surprise me." So he's saying, it doesn't surprise me that that is the best compliment they have ever received. Maybe because their father is very nasty, or maybe because the men are very stupid and ugly, and therefore they probably don't get many compliments. Okay, so that's the end of the video. I have a couple questions for you though. So, okay, so my first question is, when Dan refuses the horse, what does Paul offer him to try and make him take the horse? When Dan refuses the horse, what does Paul offer him to try to make him buy the horse or take the horse? So you can just pause the video, and after that I'll give you a suggested response. So Paul offers him to take a test ride on the horse. As Dan refused the offer of the horse, Paul offers him to take a test drive and hopes that will persuade Dan to buy the horse or to take the horse. And one other question for you. In the first place, in the story, what is Paul's plan? In the first place, in the story, what is Paul's plan? What is Paul planning to do? So, a suggested answer is that at the beginning, Paul is planning to con Desperate Dan by getting his sons to wear this costume. Then Desperate Dan will buy the horse, and after, in the night, the men will leave the costume and take Dan's money and run away. Okay, so that is the end of our video today. Thank you very much for joining me, and make sure to check out the other Desperate Dan video I have. Here is the link somewhere up here, or maybe over there. So thanks very much. I hope you have a good day. See you again soon. Bye everyone.